Hello everyone, it's DuckFaden07. Today we are playing absolutely crazy mono-red Prism Brew. Okay, so this is a build I initially saw from the Twitter user Spiderspace MTG. He posted a tweet about playing turn 1 ring and I was very interested, and I tried to make a build even more crazier with including Chancellors of the Tangle. Chancellor of the Tangle gets you even more chances of doing the turn 1 ring with turn 1 Chancellor into Ritual. He previously did it by playing the Gemstone Caverns, but you can, with Chancellor, you can also do it when you're playing first, so it's all that much cooler. Okay, so it's not just the one ring, there are many good plays to do on a turn 1. Sometimes it's just Chalice of the Void on 1, sometimes it's Blood Moon. One of the best ones is Fable of the Mirror Breaker, and I included Ensnaring Bridges in the main and in the sideboard. I think this card is very important for this build. I also really wanted to include the Seasoned Pyromancers, but just couldn't find a spot for them. But yeah, the Fable is slightly better anyway, and there are already a lot of these good targets you want to slam as early as possible. So we have Chalice of the Void in the main, so no 1-mana spells except for the Spikefield Hazard. This card is absolutely important in this deck because it kills the Bowmasters and the Ragavan, the only two threats you really care about in these early turns, except something crazy like a Scam the Fury or stuff like that. But we have solutions for that. We have Fury, so, and a lot of card draw, protection from the One Ring, Chompers, and stuff like that. So, okay, so on the sideboard we have Karn sideboard, and I did some changes here too. I think I made it better because these Karn Sylex I included were insanely important in a lot of matchups. I also removed some of the cards and included 2 cast into the fires on the board, which are also very important. And that's it. This is my list, and it plays absolutely crazy, and I'm just very excited to show all you guys. So let's go to the gameplay and see how it went. Okay, I finished a 4-1 league with this deck, and almost got a trophy, which will be absolutely insane. So let's check out what's happening here. I revealed the Chancellor of the Tangle. Unfortunately, my only land is Spikefield Hazard, but this card is so important that you really have to play this card. It doesn't matter that sometimes it enters the tapped. It's just a 2. So we have it here. Game 1, turn 1 ring, Pyretic Ritual, Desperate Ritual into the 1 ring on my turn 1 using the Chancellor of the Tangle. So I did it immediately in first game. So this is absolutely insane. Okay, so on turn 2 I just played my step land and Chalice of the Void. Opponent plays Gingerbread and basically concedes the game. It's too much. I have Desperate Ritual into Fable. Next turn, discarding the useless Chancellor from the hand. This is why Fable is so good. You often get to play it on turn 1 with the Chancellors, and then you just discard the Chancellors. It's great. It's so great. I cannot describe you how great it is. Okay, so let's go on, see the game 2. This is a real glass cannon deck, so you depend so much on your starting hand, and you have to mulligan, and sometimes you just can't get good hands, and you just lose games, and sometimes every hand you have is absolutely insane, and you just can't lose a single game, so it's really crazy. Okay, opponent goes for the Azulite here and plays the Zabaz. I play the Lick Metal Coating and decide to kill the Urza Saga immediately, but opponent has the Ravager here. They're not able to use the Ravager ability to kill my card, but they are now. I had a very good start, but I wasn't able to control my opponent's total. They were able to pressure my Karn with the Zabaz and the Ravager, so they were able to take over in this game, and I did actually stabilize here, and quite well actually. So I went for the ritual, play the Ensnaring Bridge, and play Cast into the Fire, so I had multiple options here. Unfortunately, I had to, I didn't count the damage, and the opponent had just enough damage to kill me, so with the Walking Ballista, so yeah, that's it. That was the game. I think I wasn't really able to do anything because they could just do it in response. Okay, as here is a very good example of how good this Fable is. So you play Fable on turn 1 and discard the 2 useless Chancellors that enable you to play this Fable. Okay, so I had a misclick. I remember having a misclick in this game. I just played, I had already 3 mana, played the Pitting Needle, Naming, Arbound Ravager. That and Walking Ballista are 2 most dangerous targets in this deck. So I played my Karn, grabbed the Liquid Metal Coating, and at this point opponent wasn't able to use the mana from Power Depot because it is an artifact land. So they had just 1 mana, which they used to play the Stirrings. And now I get the coating online, destroy one of their lands, they can't use the second one, and I just play my other stuff. I had 1 ring in hand, Fable, decide to go for the Fable, because the Fable means just a 2-turn clock while killing opponent's lands in the process, so that's it. The opponent just can't do anything in a situation like this, and they concede. That is a win against Hardened Skates. Okay, so pretty crazy start, pretty crazy match 1. Let's check out the match 2. Okay, again, Chancellor of the Tangle in the starting hand, but I decide to mulligan. And this time we will see how game goes with the fair hand. I decided to keep the Spikefield Hazard because I can always play it on a turn 3 if I don't draw a land, but it ended up very good for me. Opponent played the Ragavan Dash, and I used my Hazard, and still I was able to play the Chalice of the Void here on 1 against Murktide. That is a very good play. They have a lot of 1 mana spells. Okay, so I was in need of a land here, and if I get a land, then a pretty good situation. Also, Pyretic Ritual, Desperate Ritual also works, but they had the counterspell. Unfortunately, yeah, so they were filling the yard here, probably to play the big Murktide, but this is fine because I included Ensnaring Bridges in the main, which I feel like this inclusion of the bridges in the main was really important. It won me just a huge number of games, especially against the Blue-Red Murktide. They just can't deal with it in game 1. And even like with the 4 cards in hand, they now can't attack with the Murktide. They can't play anything through Chalice, and even if they play a smaller creature, I can just play the Fable or Pitchcast Fury, whatever, and yeah, that is the game they concede. Okay, let's check out game 2. So far, the Murktide matchup has been very good, but I also won the trophy match against Murktide. I had a great hands. They just had the really good ones, even better than mine. So yeah, it was very close. Okay, I started with a Fable here, turn 1, again with the Chancellor, and immediately discarding Chancellor on turn 2. This is just incredibly powerful. Opponent uses the Pitchcast Fury to kill my Shaman token, which is just puts me in an incredibly good position. I keep the Spikefield Hazard in case they go for the Ragavan, but they kept one lander with Consider and didn't find a second one. And now I had a Desperate Ritual to cast the One Ring. Also, I have the Karn and the Ensnaring Bridge for the next turn. So, it's not possible for my opponent to get out of this one, and they concede the game immediately. That's it. Okay, let's check out the wins first, and then we'll go to defeat in the end. Okay, so match 3. Again, a really crazy hand. If I was playing, so this is a situation where I wasn't able to do my thing because of the Spikefield Hazard, but this card is just so good in the deck that you really have to play 4 of these in the land slots, and because it's just so very useful against Ragavan, against Bowmasters, and these are the main enemies of the deck, and it also kills the young wolves and really a lot of creatures, and sometimes you won't be able to play your Fable turn 1 because of this, but it's definitely worth it in my opinion. Okay, so I played Desperate Ritual and Fable on turn 2, so yeah, I now use the Hazard to get the mana and play another Fable, and I have the Blood Moon on the field. Opponent doesn't have a basic because this was a turn 1 moon, and there is just a huge number of decks that can't beat the turn 1 moon. This is just too hard for a lot of decks. Okay, so that's it. Let's check out game 2. Let's see how I sideboarded this one. I took out 2 moons. And yeah, just 2 moons and 2 Chalice of the Voids for some artifacts, good stuff artifacts from the sideboard like Karn Sylex. Karn Sylex prevents them from fetching and also kills all their small creatures. I decide to use it immediately. And they play Bowmaster's end of turn, but at this point they were on 3 cards in hand. And I had a Fury in hand to deal with the Bowmasters, which was really important because of my One Ring. I decided to just hardcast the Fury this turn. Instead of playing the One Ring, the hardcasted Fury is very valuable in this position. So I use the Hazard here to kill the Insect token, force opponent block with the Goose on the Grist, and play my One Ring, that is it. Opponent on 3 lands, so and the 2 cards in hand, so they need 1 more land to be able to play the Yawgmoth. Even if they play the Yawgmoth, they don't have anything on the field at the moment, so it doesn't mean much. Opponent makes a plant token and the insect token, but at this point I have the One Ring active, drawing me cards. I have another ring in my hand in case a ring becomes dangerous for me. So this is definitely a very good position for me and very hard for my opponent. I decide to go for the Chalice on 2 and play the Relic of Progenitus to protect myself against their undying stuff and combos. Opponent now has the Yawgmoth, but at this point I already have a second Fury in my hand. I completely failed here. I played the Desperate Ritual into my Chalice on 2, so I was forced to pitch cast the Fury. It really didn't matter much. I was just too far ahead. One ring on the field, the second one in hand. I decided just to play my second Fable and hold this Spikefield Hazard. The opponent's Grist goes on 7. In the process, I use my Relic to exile the graveyard, so at this point only had 2 creature cards for the Grist ultimate ability. I discarded the Chancellors, draw much more cards. With the ring, decide to start attacking with the Den of the Bugbear, and there was no need in actually casting anything. I was able to wait another turn to play the second ring, so I just draw a bunch more cards here, and yeah, so that was it. Okay, opponent conceded next turn, and that was the game. Okay, let's check out match number 4 and win number 4. Okay, I'm playing second, and this is also one very nice thing I wanted to show you here. You can reveal the Chancellor and the Gemstone Caverns and then exile the Chancellor on the Gemstone Caverns. This is like some sick stuff. I already have 2 mana here. So at this point I needed that one ritual to draw top deck ritual to be able to cast the One Ring again on turn 1, but I didn't have it, and instead I cast the Chalice of the Void on turn 1, which is probably even better against Hammer Time. Also played the Ensnaring Bridge on my turn 2 and had the One Ring for protection on their Earth Saga turn, which is very important, so they can't attack with Ornithopter and then I don't know, play a hammer or something in the attack phase. I had a protection last turn, and now I was able to just play the Karn, play the Chalice, and this prevents them from attacking with both their creatures. So yeah, there is not much Hammer Time can do in a situation like this. Of course, they had Pitting Needle on my One Ring, but I had too much stuff here. Karn, Chalice on 1, on 0, Ensnaring Bridge, Fury in hand, Karn on field. So my opponent concedes the game, so we can check out the other one. Pretty quick one. Okay, so I didn't have the nuts here, and again, exact same play. I had the ring, I had the Fable, I had the Karn Sylex, and again I do the same thing. I'll reveal both Chancellor and the Gemstone Caverns. So again, I have 2 mana already on my turn 2, and I'm hoping for. I have 3 mana already. I played the Fable. I had opportunity to play the Karn Sylex too, but I decided to go for a Fable, and opponent plays another Sentinel. I use my Fable to discard Chancellor from my hand. I wanted everything. I also discarded the One Ring. I didn't feel like it was necessary, and I draw my cast my Karn Sylex again, letting them draw a card. But Karn Sylex is just very good against their Earth Saga, so it's definitely worth it. I was attacking with my Goblin Shaman. They have attacks with Esper Sentinel, but I don't really care. I also let them draw those 2 cards, but yeah. Uh, in this turn I decided to go for the attacks first. I was really hoping for them to make a construct and block so I can just kill everything with Fury, and that was exactly what happened here. Karn Sylex is also great card. In this matchup they have to use the Pitting Needle to get rid of this, unless, or if they don't do that, they just lose. So I played my Fury here and kill everything, and next turn I'm untapping with Fury plus Reflections of Kikijiki. They were forced to go for the needle on Sylex, and now, yeah, they just don't have any chance, absolutely. 2 Fables, 1 Kikijiki and a Fury in the field, they don't have a removal for this. So there's just nothing they can do, and they concede the game. Another sick game against Hammer Time, and now it's time for the final game to check out how did I actually lose a game with this insane deck that provided me with those insane games, insane hands through the entire league. So look at this hand, and I just can't believe I actually lost this game. How is this possible? So I'm not really sure. So this was my turn 1, and I actually lost this game. I have no idea how the hell did this happen. So I played the Chalice of the Void on 1 plus Fable on turn 1 against Blue-Red Murktide. I was like winning this game. My opponent wasn't able to do anything. I also played the Chalice of the Void, second one on 0, so even their Mishra's Bubble don't work. and this game was basically over. This game was basically over, but I think I just didn't play it. I played it. Kind of played it badly, and it was among my first matches with the deck, and I didn't have much experience. And also, this is the reason why I lost this match. This Hallowed Fountain. This Hallowed Fountain confused me so much that I was playing around Teferi Time Reveler the entire game. Okay, they actually had a Stoneforge Mystic and the equipment package here. They weren't able to attack with any of the spell of the, and my opponent played these 1-mana spells, so it was pretty obvious they have another Murktide in hand, preparing to play the another Murktide for the next turn. I don't know how I missed this, and yeah, so this was just not. I mean, this play was okay, but this was a bad play. Me grabbing liquid metal coating with Karn, this was just terrible. If I just grabbed something else, this could be entirely different game, and I would be able to win this easily. Also, my opponent had prismatic ending into 7/7 Murktide. I mean, I'm I also just destroyed the land so they can't equip the Batterskull, but they got it. So, and they also killed my Karn. And somehow I lose this game. This is the game I weren't supposed to lose. And this should be really a trophy match if I just play this a little bit better. And I needed the top deck here to do something with this Murktide, but didn't get it. And that was unfortunately a lost game for me, which is pretty incredible after that crazy start I had. In a game 2, I also had pretty good start. I mean, I revealed the Chancellor, I had the Pyretic Ritual, so it is turn 1 Fable again. Pretty crazy too. So they killed my Shaman token, I discarded the Chancellor and the Hazard, I got the land and I played the Chalice again, and this is the same situation once again. This wasn't obviously usual blue-red Murktide list because this deck is very favorable to win against that deck, but this deck is slightly better against me, and they had Stoneforge with Cauldron in hand, and I didn't draw my third land on time, and I didn't get a third land in my 4 turns, and that was unfortunately a GG for me. I decided to concede. There was no point in continuing. And yeah, so this Hallowed Fountain completely messed me up in turn 1, and Stoneforge won them the game after doing the Chalice thing. Yeah, so this is how I lost the trophy with this deck, but it was very close. I was very close to the trophy, and deck just performed absolutely insane this entire league. I was just amazed at just how well is this all working, and the Chancellors were key in almost every match in this entire league. I played more leagues with this deck. I had a 3-2 result. I had a 2-3 result, 2-3 results. So I got none of these results were extremely bad, and I was very close to the wins. It was usually when I lose, I always mulligan to good hand. So you always do that with this deck. You always mulligan to good hand, and I think I made a good sideboard here, very usable. In this matchup, I boarded out 2 Furies, and that's basically it. Just bring in some graveyard hate, and that was it. So, unfortunately, didn't succeed to win this one, but due to some bad decisions. But it was really close, and I think you can all see that the performance of this deck, the hands I had, were just absolutely one of the most insane I had in a lot of time playing MTGO. So this is definitely, you have to know that this is a glass cannon deck. So you will either demolish your opponent on turn 1, or you will just concede the game on turn 2. This is that type of deck, but it is extremely fun to play. And also sometimes you keep fair hands and you play the grindy games, interesting games. It has a lot more to it than just doing these powerful things on turn 1 and 2. Also, sometimes you get a lot of free wins with the Blood Moon. If Blood Moon is good in the meta, this deck will be great. If Blood Moon is bad, it will be okay. Because you still have you could see that you still have a lot of very powerful plays like turn 1 Fable can be extremely hard to deal with. Ensnaring Bridges are great in game 1 against those fair decks, especially Murktide decks. One ring often just prevails, and this was my inclusion in the sideboard to be able to survive the one ring trading post. On the sideboard, a 4 mana artifact that says discard a card, you gain 4 life. Basically, when you know you're going to do the one ring thing, then you play the Karn, you get the trading post, and you secure yourself from dying for the rest of the game. You really can't die with gaining 4 life each turn. Also, this can do other stuff like sacrifice your one ring to draw a card or return your one ring from the graveyard to your hand. So I think it's very synergistic card to play in your Karn Wishboard, in your one ring build around deck. So that is it. Gemstone Caverns, Chancellors of the Tangle, 8 rituals, make all this sick gameplay happen consistently for me across the multiple leagues, and I'm just really hyped about this deck. I can say this is a tier 1 deck, but it's insanely fun to play, and I'll definitely be playing more of this. Now there is a new edition coming, so I'll be doing some new brews with new cards, but definitely excited to get back to this one as soon as possible. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Just a friendly reminder to leave a like, subscribe, comment in the video, especially if you have the gameplay with this list, and describe your sickest situations you had and anything you like. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching and goodbye.